I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
County councilor must be tied up.
He's right out. I saw him right out there in the hallway.
I see.
So,
You'll be in shortly.
okay, shall we start with the minutes from last week?
Well, I thought they looked pretty accurate, so
I didn't see any corruption.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Okay, and then the clerk pointed out to me that the minutes that we approved last week for the meeting before, which is the minutes of the September 5th meeting, that there was a slight error on a spelling that's been, and it's county councilor talked to J. David Ferris, and it was a misspelling of the last name Ferris that she corrected. So do I hear a motion to accept the corrections on that?
So moved.
Second it.
It's been moved in a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passed 3-0.
Is the spelling, do we have to go that technical on spelling of a word?
Just because I made a change to something that you had officially approved.
Okay.
She brought that up to me this morning, and it's simple to correct. It's inadvertent.
Now, I'm not checking spelling.
And on a name, you can't use spell check because that don't work.
Yeah. You can correct my spelling pretty good.
Okay.
6.
Well, any commissioner
5, excuse me, 5.
comments and committee reports?
I have nothing.
Well, me and Commissioner Bauer attended the Northeast Kansas meeting along with Michelle. The morning session, they basically told us how good a building that they built. Not a whole lot of knowledge. The second part was pretty good. That's when we had like a round table and we talked to other commissioners. We talked a little bit about the facility that was going to go in Tonganoxie. Now it's been denied, the chicken plant. We talked about bonds a little bit, and we talked about the tax lid. And the second half was pretty good, I felt.
Well, it was important that we heard from other people.
Yes.
With shared information and knowledge. I think we got something out of it. For the 3/4 of a day we spent at it.
I haven't had an opportunity to go to this meeting, but the K.A.C. to me is the knowledge that you get. The round table stuff is always the best because it's real time problems, real time solutions, or questions a lot of times because a lot of the things that are there haven't been fixed yet. But
I had a commissioner from surrounding county ask about the ambulance service and how we was getting along, and they're considering doing something different. It's just a good deal. And then on a new point, I have a JCAP meeting in Leavenworth Thursday at 1:30.
okay, personally, I had a meeting with the Tri-County Health meeting. Was held in Holton last night. Nothing really new to report. Pat's been helping some with the what do you call it? Bylaws. Which
we haven't done anything in 3 or 4 weeks, probably.
she submitted. I forgot to bring them. I was going to show you what she had drawn up so far. She basically wanted myself and the other commissioners to take back what she had, have each commission look them over, see if there's any problems before really submitting to you a draft, so we don't have to do this 3 or 4 times. So I think the other commissioners will take them back to their respective counties, kind of look at if there's anything that they see that needs to be changed as far as their individual wants or needs, and then she'll send it to you here in the near future, and then have you kind of then work it on to fruition. So, and then I have a meeting Thursday night at NECAP. So that's upcoming meeting for me. Okay, Corey, you're up. Hello again.
We are here this afternoon to seek permission to enter into a collections agreement or contract as it comes up for ambulance past due bills.
Is there any discussion on, I mean, this is something that we talked about this morning, and so I didn't know if there was any other discussion that,
Well, I think everybody needs to understand that what he's asking for is for us to be aggressive about collecting
Correct.
debts that are owed to the EMS.
Correct.
And as a commissioner, I certainly support that.
I do too as well, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, thoroughly, I do too, because if you start getting lax, then it'll create more of a problem. You know, if you have a heart for the people that can't pay, but then there's the ones that just won't pay, and so you have to.
This is not a situation where we're going to aggressively go after people that are attempting to make contact and pay. This is
Correct.
people we have been unable to make any contact with and have made no attempt to set up payment plans.
Sure.
I guess you should probably maybe contact the people who are watching. Is it, you don't even start the process with a collector until after 90 days?
Correct.
So there's been ample time.
Yeah, and then it will still go through Mr. Henderson even before it goes to collections for him to send out letters.
Okay. So the process is 90 days, Pat Henderson, and a collector.
Correct.
Do you let the patients know, because I was a payee trustee for a neighbor kid, and one time he refused the ambulance, and then I had to write a check on his account, but if he would have went ahead and used the ambulance, his Medicare would have took care of the bill. Now, I may not have all the details correct, but anyway, he refused something and he had to pay.
Depends on what level of refusal. If he refused all treatment and transport, we do not send out a bill. If he
Even
is-
though the ambulance arrived at a location?
Correct. No, there's no bill. If we show up, the patient says, I don't want you here, I don't want to be treated, I don't want to be transported, we do not bill for that. They sign a refusal form, we advise them of the risks of the refusal, that we think they should see a doctor. We advise them that this refusal form does not eliminate your rights to an ambulance, it can be revoked at any time and we can be called back. And no, they don't receive a bill. If they accept some form of treatment at an advanced life support level, such as we administer dextrose, which is for the treatment of low blood sugar,
That's what it was.
then we would send out bills for that particular treatment, even if they refused after they were capable of refusing. And that one's a good example, because 90% of the time when we administer that medication, instantly they become mentally capable of refusing, whereas a few instances before that medication they would have not been physically able
I
to
think
refuse.
that was the case. He took the injection, it's like hitting a switch, then he refused to go in for.
Now, if we provide care, say we bandage a cut, or we provide a Band-Aid or take a set of items, no, we don't bill for those services. It has to cross that threshold into where we're utilizing an advanced life support resource.
Fair enough, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, then do I hear a motion to give authority for the EMS director to enter into an agreement or contract for the collections process? Does that sound okay?
No, we don't need to specify.
We're not specifying
Not
today.
specifying a vendor,
Okay.
just that I have.
I think from our
authority to-
discussion today, I'm not sure that we don't need to see it before it's approved.
Well, the recommendation for a specific person or entity is not even been recommended today, well, or hasn't been decided as of today. This is just the authority for him to enter into a contract eventually with someone.
Okay, but you're saying he can enter into the contract. I think from our discussion today, maybe we should see the contract before he enters into it.
We probably need to reword the motion as a motion for you to, what's the right wordage I want to say here so we get it? That we're, as a county, we're aggressive on collecting our bills and to turning it over to a collection agency, but not specifying till we see
develop a specific proposal for the collection of debts. I mean, I think we're pretty close to that. There are some contract things that I would think need to be cleared up a little bit with the contract I saw, and I haven't with one of the vendors, and I haven't talked with the other. So we'll need a little work to get that done, but it shouldn't take too awfully long. So.
I can see where Jack's coming from, where this, so do you want to put out the right verbiage and then I will make that motion? Do you want to?
We do have all of our contracts approved by Mr. Henderson before, I mean, any contract is approved by Mr.
Yeah, it'll go across his desk no matter what, so.
Well,
Is that what you mean? Like,
I'm feeling there's a little bit of a difference between if you want to review the decision before the contract signed, I think you should just say that and just table your motion.
I think that's
And say
basically
bring it
what
up next
Mr. Bear
week.
said.
If you,
So Eric called for a motion?
And
It's
no,
not the same as making it?
no,
no.
I asked
Okay.
you if there was a motion.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you,
No, I was not making the motion.
okay.
So, but there was a motion made and there hasn't been a second.
Well, he had a question like that. He wanted more discussion on it, and
Right, but that motion either needs to be withdrawn or.
I didn't make a motion.
Well, Bill started to make one. I
Oh,
think,
okay.
so,
I didn't.
Just to clarify that there's no motion, or the motion's withdrawn, or it needs to be modified.
Do you want to withdraw that motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
And we need to clarify the verbiage. I think we need to give him authority to
Pursue it?
pursue it, and then we'd like to look at the contracts, I guess, or
Does that sound like the right?
will that
Verbiage.
will that hold you up? Is that still going to hold you up that extra week by just doing that? Kind of like, yeah, we're ready to go to a collection agency, but we're not ready to choose.
We're going to be another week either way. So
Okay.
I don't see that as a problem. Because it's going to have to come to the next commission meeting in either case with that, so. 601.
I would make a motion for the EMS to engage in collection of unpaid debts with a collection agency or attorney that would be approved by the county commission or the board of commissioners after we see a recommendation from the advisory board. Did that get complicated?
What if the advisory board comes up with the same
suggestion.
Then
suggestion?
that's what happens, I guess.
I mean, I just not to be controversial, just
But it's,
I still think that, as county council said, it all ends with the county commissioners. So
When the lawsuit's filed, it's going to be Board of County Commissioners versus, you're going to be the named plaintiff in the
And
case.
that's why I want this in front of you.
I would think you'd want to have.
In any case.
is his wordage all right?
Sure.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
You want your name noted?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get something. How have you decided how we're going to progress with the advisory board?
Well,
No.
if it's got to go before the advisory board, we're going to have to call an official meeting of that.
Okay.
So they'll either have to wait till the regular meeting or we'll have to put out notice and have an emergency meeting. So we'll have to get Wes involved and have him contact the advisory board meetings and see which is easy for everybody and move from there.
Okay.
fantastic.
We can do it.
Let's get our money.
So the advisory board sees the full picture. Do you need to draw up something what you're willing to do that wasn't relayed in the first advisory board so they know where you're coming from now? Or is that being not fair to the other company?
We'd have to be if we're going to put the same two proposals, same two agencies on the table, I would think we need to be completely transparent transparent and allow them
To do.
the exact same.
Okay.
Yep, I would guess that's true.
Yeah. Question, comment, or?
No, do you want me to identify myself? Andrew
Yeah,
Waring. So, no, that's fine. I can resubmit or redraft, maybe more formalize what I previously submitted, answer the questions regarding what we talked about this morning, and you know, at any time you're ready to proceed, once we get accounts, about 72 hours later, we'll have letters in the mail. So that's our objective, and that's a long objective where you should be within about a day or two.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anything more?
No, I'll get with Wes this afternoon. We'll determine what's the easiest route on getting the advisory board together.
I wonder, should I be present during this advisory, as I feel like I'm doing almost a duplicative role.
I would definitely defer to Mr. Henderson on that.
Do you see where I'm saying? What
Are you a voting member or an ex officio member?
I'm a voting member.
That's really your personal choice on whether to be there or not, but,
See,
yeah, I think it would probably be better if you were to explain the process and the reason.
Okay. Well, but you see what it's
my confusion is.
it's like to me. It almost seems like a double vote.
you
being
vo-
there and
You
then-
voted no not to proceed, but now you're gonna go to them and listen and then proceed. I don't know, I lost something in the shuffle somewhere.
Well, there's more to the motion than just the proceeding. So it's
Well, Commissioner, no, it seems like any time that you're an advisory board as a voting member, anything that would become in front of us might be considered that. I mean,
that's true.
you're a functional part of that board, and to be, you should be there, and you should be in vote.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that would be the
Well-
opposite.
It seems more direct than some. So put it that way. Okay. If I can be there, I'll be there.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any new business before the board?
Do we just wait to see if Dr. Epley is going to pursue the chicken facilities in Atchison County, or do we need to start doing some educating ourselves?
I think
Good thing or bad thing for the county?
I definitely think keeping ourselves
Neutral.
up to the minute on what's going on with their process down there. I mean, in Tonganoxie, if would help us just, you know, who's involved, what their complaints are, what the pros and cons are. I think the more we can educate ourselves onto the process, even of what it would take, good or bad, the better. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard that Representative Epley is talking to the governor's office and Department of Commerce about the idea, if they don't want it in Tonganoxie, should it be considered here in Atchison? I've heard that he's doing that, but I don't know that for a fact. It just, you know, kind of discussion around the community, which is usually fairly accurate. But maybe we should ask. Maybe one of us should contact Epley and get updated, so we can update this group.
Were you able to do that?
I could contact him or.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Pat, here's something that Michelle had brought. Do you know what that is for?
Yeah, it's, we're a party to the action because it crosses our right of way, but it's a condemnation action. I don't think they took anything from us, so we're not getting any money, but they're asking if the money be taken.
No, we are getting money. There's a check on the back. And where would that money go?
Very last page. It states in the one first.
Oh, it's for taxes, what we're doing is taxes. They're unpaid taxes on property, so. That's
So-
all it is. They're taxes that are, part of the property that they're taking in unpaid taxes, so that's what this is.
So that has to be cleared up so they can get a clean title, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, they get a clean title from the court, whether all the taxes are paid or not paid. Now, that doesn't mean the taxes would still be owed, but they will have a clean title.
But we have a check there for the taxes?
Yes, I don't know how it compares.
Say cash it.
I can look that up. How it compares to what's owed.
Here's a letter that was in there just for reading.
Checks it.
So does that just need to go to Connie? Okay, very good.
You've got all the information that you need on that, Michelle?
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, are we done with that then?
Yeah, it doesn't come close to clearing the taxes on the property. I'm not sure how to get from this screen to the amount screen, but that's less than 1 year's taxes. It looks like there's 4 years' taxes at least that are owed. So,
Well, I don't see how they could give a clear title to that property with money owed against it.
well, they're not I don't think they're taking the whole property. I think they're taking a strip.
I know, but who's to say that the taxes have been paid on that? I mean, they can't specify, well, we're not taking it all, so that doesn't justify. If you owe a penny, that ought to tie the whole piece of ground up, I would think.
Well, but this is a condemnation. You're just condemning the portion that you're needing. You're
I don't know, you're the lawyer.
Well, you know, what you say makes some sense, but that's not my experience of how it's been dealt with in condemnation actions. I don't have a ton of experience in it. I've filed one and I've seen a half dozen others, maybe, but it's not uncommon.
okay. Well, we'll let her ride and see what happens. Okay, is there any other new business before the board? Any old business? We'll go ahead and call Mr. Shepherd up.
Well, we got a problem with the road again. According to the appraiser, the middle of the road is in the ditch. And there's 2 drainage tubes in the ditch.
Did the appraiser change their evaluation if the ditch is now the center of the road?
That's what she claims. But according to the county board members in 1930, this is what it is.
Well, this is what we've looked at multiple times
Yeah.
before. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it.
And she says she can't change it without your approval.
That's not my understanding what she said in the past, unless she's changed her mind since the last time we discussed this.
I don't know of any
Well,
change.
I'm not sure it's with with or without your approval. I think if you're going to change the location of the road, someone needs to prepare a petition and file it and ask to have road viewers and surveyors and whatnot. There's no requirement, I understand what that document says. There's no requirement, however, that the center line of the road be the center of the easement. And that would especially be the case if you had a larger ditch on one side and no ditch on the other. But that's really about all I can say about it. I don't think there's any action that you could take if you wanted to, other than to encourage the appraiser to take some action. But I don't know what it would be in this specific case. I don't think there's anything really that could be done. They've changed their assessment so they're not assessing taxes on the portion that is set aside as a road and the portion that's used as a road. I've looked at the maps with Roger, and you can see on the aerial photograph where the limits of the easement are, or the right-of-way are, and the road is within the right-of-way. So, it appears to be anyway.
Well, according to the contract in 1930 with the board, the road is south of the ditch. And the ditch is on the line, and it's 40-foot width. And I got papers that show that. And they come from the county right here,
And how wide is the road?
40 foot,
Now, how wide is the physical road that's there?
40 foot,
It is 40 foot?
yeah.
It's 20 feet, 25 feet, wasn't it? You measured it.
Yeah, it's not near 40. It's 30 at best.
Well, if you go down there in the middle of the road, or the section line, and measure over, there's a ditch on my side and a ditch on their side. That's part of the road. You got ditches on your Bartlett Road.
So
which is-
that 10 feet has got crops on then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that answers the question for me.
Well, I guess the question back to you is, what would you like this board to do?
Put 40 foot on my side, which it is.
The commission doesn't decide those questions about assessment of taxes. That's done through the appraiser's office. The commission does not review maps and vote on where to place boundary lines on our maps, and
Well, if she said it was up to the board. That's what she said. I got it here. And there's a survey of the road, of the line, if you want to see it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Isn't there a Board of Tax Appeal or something
yeah,
like
there
that?
is- There is an appeal that he could go through, but it's not to the Board of County Commissioners. It's,
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
yes.
Well, I went through that, and she says it's in the middle of the road.
Well, you have the right to appeal that to the State Board of Tax Appeals if you're dissatisfied with the decision there. So,
Well, it's too late now. I had so many days to do that.
okay.
I'm not trying to change the road, because the road's already there, and it's been there for, what, 70, 80 years? And people maintained it before. And where are you gonna put your sign? It hasn't been up yet.
That's up to the township.
That's Township Road.
What sign are you talking about?
Low maintenance.
Minimum maintenance.
Well, they'll place it.
I don't think
within-
any of those are up yet, are they?
No, we haven't had any declared even, but
Well, you
the sign would
declared
have,
this one.
the sign would have to be placed within our right of way.
Within 10 days.
It's on the list, but it hasn't been officially, that none of the roads have been labeled that officially as
Well-
minimum maintenance.
The thing is, if she insists that's the middle of the road, I'm gonna come up 20 foot on the easement on my, this here. What is it? Survey. And I'm gonna put the damn fence right down there, and there ain't no way they can get down here. And it was open for the landowners down there in 1930. And I've been paying taxes on it for ever 17 years that I've owned
How many years?
it. 17,
Well, that you had that since the 70s, wasn't it?
yeah.
You're talking 30, 40 years.
No, I've lived up there since. I've owned it for 17 years. So, I'll have to look and make sure, but it don't matter about the taxes on there, but from now on, I want them off. But they're using my road. And if it's 20 foot, I'm gonna throw that berm off in to cover my ditch up so I can farm it again. And there's no way they can get a semi-trailer down here. They can't even make the turn.
Well, I don't encourage that, but if you want to make your neighbors mad, you go ahead and do that.
Yeah, well, I don't want to make the neighbors mad.
I believe I'm correct in saying that your neighbors offered to pay you for use of that road.
Yeah, one of them did.
And what was your reply to that?
No, I ain't gonna charge them. But it's a county road,
No, it's a township
all
road.
right, township. It's still off my taxes, should be.
So it's not about necessarily the taxes, because you would have had money from them to recoup that.
No.
You weren't charging them; they offered to pay you for that, correct?
One of them did, yes.
Okay.
I said, no, that's not right. And you charge somebody to,
And you didn't charge; they offered.
yeah.
I think that's charging would be you drafting up a figure and presenting them a bill. That wasn't the case.
You didn't take their offer for $20 a year, but you're willing to put a fence up there to keep them out.
No, I won't keep them out.
Well, you said you was gonna knock the
No.
berms down and build a fence.
Well, there's 20 foot. If they can get down there and make a turn and get down there, all right. But that's county road, or township road. But the center of it is in this ditch. And that's the way it's been for 1930, when they built the road.
Well, I don't see that there's anything here that we can do for you. So,
Well, we'll have to go to court then. that's just more money.
For you.
But I'll win, because the road's been there on my land.
We'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure that a piece of ground with a road on 3 sides is appraised a lot higher than a piece of property with a road on 1 or 2 sides, I believe. So you may win, but you may lose.
Have you talked with your township?
No,
You know, if that road was to be moved, it would be up to them to do all the moving and the cost of that.
well, you know what they'll say, no. Just like you people say no. The road's been there since 1930. Why would they want to move it? But the appraiser says the middle of the road is in the ditch. 20 on him and 20 on me.
Well, I haven't heard of any new argument here to change my mind.
Well, you read this, didn't you?
Yes, I read that.
And that's the county board put it in 1930.
I haven't seen that survey, so, well, could I maybe take a copy of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, if you want,
The ditch is in the line.
do you want to follow me over there?
That's all right. We done here?
Yeah. Thank you.
The reason I asked is because when he was here last time, you asked him to report his township.
That's a good idea. I knew he hadn't.
He did.
Mm-mm. Come on up, Joe.
We'll start with the other. We want to start with this, maybe? After it's back for the other.
Probably. He shouldn't be too long. You just get a copy of that survey letter. Thank you. You got one for Pat, Joe, or not?
No, this is just on this glass.
Oh,
The other one made a couple copies. Yeah. I just thought we'd do that with Pat. This is for this piece of glass right here. And the first one, the lowest bid, would be basically just a clear 3/8 piece of glass. The corners would be rounded, and it's clear. And the next one would be the same glass, but it would have a tint, a gray tint. And that's the difference in the price.
Wow.
That's just for the tint. I mean, that's the only thing that I changed. And the last one is from a local contractor that gave you a price on it. That's the last one here. It's second to the last page. The last page is just the comparison of the 3 different ways you could do it. One of them is to compare apples to the local contractor. And the other 2 are what I gave you as far as this one here on the last page. Because you have to drill 3/8 holes in it if you want to drill holes in it. I think that would be kind of bad, so I changed my mind on that. The only thing that would be left is go to the local hardware store or something, get some little rubber or something that you stick on it. It's going to slide. It's going to be pretty heavy. It's like it's 3/8 piece of glass inside.
Okay, I'm going to say for the price difference, I don't even know why we would want it tempered to begin with. So,
It's tempered,
colored.
all tempered.
I mean, tinted.
Tinted.
I said tempered. It meant tinted.
Yeah, I didn't know how you wanted it, whether anybody wanted a tint or just clear. That seemed like a lot of money for it.
Yes, it does.
I'm not in love with the idea.
Hmm?
I'm not in love with the idea.
You want the hole here?
Yeah.
wonder what it costs to have like say a roll around island put in there, because there may be a day we want to change this configuration and build something cheap with a roll in there to cover that up. And I don't think you'd probably get it bought for $262. Probably be a lot more. You know, just have somebody come in and measure it and then just put 4 coasters on it and just have a flush with this and push it in there.
What about instead of glass, just having a wood tabletop in there? Would that be more or less, or
What are we trying to achieve by having that hole covered?
not having that everything falling off? And
Passing stuff through, they could just throw the papers and
it's a little bit crowded here.
This would be sitting on top of here, so you'd have a 3/8 piece of glass.
Oh, it was going to sit on top of the
Oh,
current
sit on
desk?
top of
Yes.
that.
I thought it was going to be flush with
I did
this.
too.
It would be pretty hard to do that with that much weight, to have it down low. That way it would also keep your stuff from falling off like you move about.
That's true.
I mean, otherwise you're gonna have to get brackets, and you're probably talking another $100, $200 for all that, because you'd have to have some way to fasten it to it. I mean, we're
We
talking
could
a couple
also
hundred pounds.
put like a go up 4 inches and put like a, what do you call them?
Backboard?
A backboard to keep the stuff from falling off. You still got the problem of handing papers back and forth, but that would keep stuff from falling off. Just put a,
That's
something
where
up
the old
like this.
commission was up in the. upstairs.
correct.
I don't think there's a consensus of what we want to do. Why don't we just go on and we can talk about this at some other time, and
Okay.
if that's all right with you guys?
Yeah.
And I have these 3 here. And I've got page 7 on the front, so that's the signature page. That's actually supposed to be 7 pages back. You did it a little fancier, you got both sides.
Well, no, I don't, on both sides. Save the work.
Look, this is good.
Have you reviewed this contract?
Yes, in some detail, we made a couple of changes, but.
So this is with the changes?
Yes, it should be, yes.
So if we sign this today, which we probably will, 45 from today, it will be completed? Or is it 45 days from when they start, excuse me?
I think they're giving themselves 45 days from the start date, and they're planning on starting at the first of the month, but I think they're gonna finish way before that. So, you know, no one's gonna complain if they finish early.
No. I just
I
wasn't,
won't, for sure.
I
I
just
don't see it
wasn't,
being there 45 days.
I wasn't for sure if it's 45 days from we sign this or 45 days from they start. But my only thing is, what if they don't start for 30 days?
They're already over there, they've been over there all day,
Oh.
and measured, and they're ready to go, and they wanna start, by the first of the month. They're ordering stuff now.
Okay.
The start date's actually from when the architect gives a notice to proceed.
Okay.
And so we control
Probably
that.
Monday.
So,
Well, I would move that, we allow the county chairman to, enter into contracts with Meridian Roofing Solutions. I don't see the amount for 12,770 square foot of law enforcement rooms. Where's the amount, Joe?
Where's that at?
Well, I just remember it or 144.6 was the bid. What was the bid? 34 or 44?
I don't even know if the
On the second page, for $134,455.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0.
Do you need to have 2 signed?
Just
We need 3, one for the county, one for the architect, and
We
one
have
for
signed 3 up here. I guess we're ready.
okay.
You got one, Michelle?
I have, if you want this
Well,
one.
if we need 3, I got one and Eric's
The
got
3
one.
color copies that Joe brought are the 3 that, but if you guys want a copy, I have an extra copy.
Okay, you just want the top piece off or you want the whole pack? to
take the
go?
whole pack.
Whole pack.
the ones with
I just brought that to the top so that you don't have to.
So you're gonna
Well, you need them
I
all
guess
signed.
you need Jack's
Yes,
sign.
three of them.
If you want to check
County
it out,
definitely.
or I can send it to you.
It's fine.
So on this tables, do you want me to look at anything else, or you just wait and
I don't know.
table it for a while?
Let us talk about it.
Okay, do you get all three of those then?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we'll just have to.
And you were supposed to come by and pick that up. Corey was.
Okay,
I told
I
him.
have Corey's in there, and I actually sent Sean, I sent his by email.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks.
Oh, just a second. We were talking with Peggy about the Bobcat is up there at the nursing home. Or yeah, is there any equipment that belongs to that that's county owned, or I mean that belongs here? Is there any attachments or anything like that? Or I mean, because
My
some-
understanding, that's theirs and they bought it, I mean, out of their budget, but
but some of the attachments are road and bridges. So we were just kind of while we were talking about it, I was just because the road and bridge shares it with them.
right during the summertime, but
Yeah.
I didn't know there was any attachments. The only attachment I knew was a snow
Blade.
blade, but they
Snow
sold
blade
it.
and a forklift, I believe that's it.
They sold the snow blade, didn't
I don't think so.
I have no idea.
Somebody mentioned the snowblade this morning.
they? They had a huge snow blade. It won't work because it's too wide.
Hmm.
And it used to sit up there, but they moved it. I thought they sold it, but
I don't know.
I guess you'd have to get a hold of Road and Bridge to make sure. But they use it. I don't know what they're gonna do if they don't have the.
He done hit us up for another one.
Well, they will need a Bobcat's pretty vital, and if they don't have access to one, that's something that's the Road and Bridge Department would have to have.
Yeah, it's not that old and it's been through it. You know, we can see it. And so they use a lot. They use it a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if there was any equipment that, was shared, while we were talking about it this morning between those two. I'm just curious.
Yeah, to my knowledge, there was a snow blade that they bought right after they got it. It was used about 10 minutes and it sit there for years. And then I think 5-6 years ago we sold it. It could be out the county shop. Because I think they came and got it, and I don't know anything past that. It was up there.
Okay. I'm just
Have you
curious.
got any ladders, any stuff like that up there?
The only thing we do is we leave the zero turn up there for them to use.
Well, now who owns that?
We do.
Maintenance. Well, you may have to get it then, and I don't know where you're gonna put it, but
We usually leave it out to the recycling center, but since he wanted to use it to mow the grass, we parked it up there. So we need to get it out of there, not put it
not
there.
right now, possibly down the road.
It's a
maybe.
possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, every week we go get it and use it, and then we put it back. So Brian.
The only thing that I would say, if it's there, if the sale goes through, they're gonna consider that there, and then we go up there and start taking stuff away.
Well, I think that Peggy does have a list, and and I was just trying to kind of think out loud of some of the stuff that we want to consider, when we come to, parting ways possibly, and just to make sure that we kind of know what's going on here, so they don't claim a mower or
Yeah,
something
as
like
far
that.
as I know, the only thing that we have is the zero turn, and it sits up there just so where they can use it. We use it every week.
Okay. All right.
Might not use it this week, but slow down a little bit, I hope.
Yeah. Well, good. Had some rain and be up to 90 or close to 90 today, so they
It'll
talk
start
like,
growing again in a week.
yeah, it's going to grow pretty good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any county councilor updates?
Yes. First, I just checked on this parcel that was involved in the condemnation case. The I was wrong. This does clear the taxes, but it doesn't clear the special assessments that are against the property. So, but I didn't check what they are. The taxes are $1,560.32, but the total due is $8,800.
Wow.
So that's, I don't know if that's tearing, I don't know what it is, so I probably shouldn't speculate. The property is listed in the next tax sale, it's out for abstracting, so the tax statement's here. Just pass it down and shop and take it to
She can hear.
the treasurer.
Kind of like farming, it comes, it goes.
Yeah. See the check, it's gone.
There are, the next thing, I guess, several different places where we're trying to find people for, well, really just the two, the solid waste delinquency letters. There are several of those, we don't have proper addresses. And then I think there are a few on the collections that we don't have addresses either. We have a system that we already use in the county to find people, a database program. None of you were here when I started, but we used to subscribe to Alexis. We had an account that was a couple $100 a month, and I canceled that and replaced it with something that was free, and at that time it was free for law enforcement. They considered us as part of that group, and then so after about 3 years, they dropped that. It's still free for law enforcement. Law enforcement uses it. The county attorney's office uses it, but they charge us to use it. I looked into it. I can be on that same account, but there may be some charges. They're going to be fairly minimal because the searches are $1 a piece, and I think we'll have less than 100 of them throughout the year. But I just going to let you know that. If you tell me you don't want to do it, that's fine. I just won't put any effort into finding the people we can't find. On the, anybody have any comments or questions about it's TLO is the system. It's been purchased by TransUnion, I think. So.
Pardon me.
The abstracting, the list has been delivered, and they're working on getting the properties, getting all of the abstracting stuff done. So you signed the contract 2 weeks ago, I believe. So last week there was a question about death certificates and the time that it takes to get those. I put a question on the county councilor listserv, and also had a discussion with K.S.A's general counsel, Melissa Langeman, about it. This is a fairly common problem throughout the state. The statute gives 3 days or 72 hours from the discovery of the body, I guess, to get the death certificate done. However, if it's a death certificate that requires an autopsy, that they wait till the autopsy is complete before they do it, and the delay with that is almost always the lab work to have this lab or that determine drugs or chemicals or whatever they're looking for. The city of Wichita apparently has their own lab now, and there are a couple counties, I think, that are contracting with them to do it. Wichita, of course, is a 3-hour drive from here. Even if we'd save a little money, I'm not sure it would save in the long run. I didn't look into it any more detail than that. And I also got a letter or an email from the director of the Board of Mortuary Arts, and just sort of the same thing. There's not much that can be done about it. It's just however long it takes to get the results, the lab results back. If you wanted to draft a letter to either the Leavenworth County Board, who actually appoints the coroner, or to the coroner himself, just encouraging them to be quick. If you could do that, I doubt that would have much benefit from what I can tell. So.
I did hear the individual who wrote the letter to us in that packet did receive the death certificate that they were. So that just happened since our meeting, I believe, on that. Was that just last week, or was
I
that?
think it was just last week.
Yeah.
Well, Brian's going to some convention in regard to some of these matters. Maybe we ought to get an update from him of what he finds out there.
Brian.
Brian Becker.
Oh.
He came up, yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
then he also told me that he called the Leavenworth County mortuaries, and they had the similar problems. So maybe we ought to get another update from Brian.
I talked to a friend of Atchison County who is a close friend of the governor, and they've had a discussion, and the governor is aware of it and looking into it.
So that may have the most impact if somebody makes an informal.
I took it to,
Mm-hmm.
and then shortly after, I think, when she received it.
I think that just the individual who wrote was just symptomatic of the problem. I don't, helping one person out is nice, but, all of the people that have, it's not solving the problem. So
Correct.
hopefully that will light a fire, or maybe kind of wake them up a little bit. Because there's a lot of stuff, everything from insurance to vehicle ownership
and
to...
you lose a loved one. You go through enough that you don't need to go through that type of thing, that could be simply fixed.
Yeah, I agree. We have reached an agreement with AT&T that resolves the pending arbitration.
We're off, correct?
We're on.
No, it has to be approved in a meeting. So I have.
Oh, we're not there yet, okay.
I sent
okay. I'm sorry.
a draft of that to you. I would ask for a motion to have the chairman execute the agreement.
I would move that the county chairman be authorized to sign an agreement for the settlement with AT&T.
I have a question. Should that motion say, I make a motion that County Commissioner Eric Knoll, Chairman, sign off?
You mean actually state my name, or is that what you're...
Correct.
Just,
There's only one. I'll state his name, Eric Knoll, but there's only one
Chairman.
chairman.
I'll second that motion.
I think it probably should also say the amount is in there, $43,995.68.
do you have that?
Get all that? Good for you.
And I would call that a very favorable outcome.
Yeah, sign two of them, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Has that been seconded?
I second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0. Does Michelle need these, or to go back to you? Or?
Yeah, I need to get one back. No, I need to get both of them back to them so they can sign them.
Okay.
So she'll need a copy of this, or not?
Well,
When you get them back?
either way, I'll talk with her about how to handle the mechanics of that. Last week we talked a little bit about we had a bill, I think, that came from Kansas City Area Development Council. And then we've had sort of discussions about MOCAN and our membership in MOCAN. And it just so happened when I talked with Becky Berger at the city that the representative, well not a representative, the director of K.S.A was coming, and he was here on Friday, and I think you were at a K.S.A meeting. And so I did go over and met him and talked with him a little, and before the meeting it was an informal meeting, but before the meeting talked with Becky and Justin Jean about economic development. And I think this is an area where we probably need to have a more robust discussion with the city. There's some KCADC was inviting the city and the county to be much more involved, and they think we're not getting the full benefit of our membership because we're not active or as active as we could be. This goes back several years, and it was really before I was county councilor, where we previously had a position that did economic development work, and I'm not exactly sure the chapter and verse as to why, but the city took that in-house, and I think the agreement was they would fund part of economic development by funding that position and doing some other things, and that the county would maintain memberships in Mocan Regional Council and KCADC. There doesn't seem to be a consensus about whether the Mocan membership is of value or whether it's of enough value to justify it. I received a bill by email, and I don't know if it's been processed from Mocan for $3,857.35. I just got that by email today, and I think
That's higher than this one. This is 2,066.05.
Well, I think there might be, the city's membership is, I think it's based on population, so I think the city's membership costs more than the county's.
And we were paying them both.
The
Okay.
county was paying both.
Okay, the
Yeah.
population here is 5903.
But Patrick, when we decided not to rejoin MOCAN, I had a discussion with the city manager at the time and Alan Rivas, the mayor, and they completely concurred that we should drop the membership. I think when I met with Trey, I think Becky was in the room. So is Becky saying we should belong now, or?
No, I didn't really parse the email. It came this morning. I don't mind even.
Have we told them we're not going to rejoin, or? That's a,
Yes, I think it's been relayed, and when the bill keeps coming, they just forward it here. So I don't think there's really anything more than, here, you guys take care of it, however you want to do it. And I myself had went and saw Trey just last month, and he was all in favor of dropping it. And it was kind of just unspoken, but kind of mentioned the fact that if we drop this, there may be something else that we want to. I think there was another organization that was being talked about.
There's a couple of them. Yeah.
Mark, in my meeting with him, there wasn't anything specifically talked about or any specific organization, but I think it was, and I would concur that if something like that would come up, we'd be interested. But in the meantime, did I hear that there's been a change in direction or leadership at MOCAN, or is there?
Yes, they have a new executive director. His name is Mike Spady, which I misspoke. That email was to Jamie and to me, not to Michelle. But it came at 9:40 this morning, and Jamie mentioned it to me, I guess.
Okay.
I think it's something that you need to talk with the city about and really have a plan, because I'm not sure, from the discussion that we had, I'm not sure that we're getting the benefit of the membership KCADC.
Well, Roger was up last week, and I don't know if you were in the room or not, Pat, but he was suggesting that we bring the executive director up and let him at least speak to us about what the members
From
from MOCAN.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do that and have the city manager or Justin or whoever.
I think he was going to be back on Monday, or on Friday as well, but I had a court hearing at 1 o'clock when he was supposed to meet with the city, so I didn't meet with him. That's a good idea. I think also it should be on the agenda for the next city-county joint meeting, and I think it's a good topic for discussion about what the goal is and how you're going to get there, how you're going to implement it.
Well, I don't think it's fair to MOCAN to judge the performance because the person that was in charge is no longer there. And what I was told from former Commissioner Shealy was that's where the problem lied. So,
Well, you hate to belong or not belong to an organization because of personalities.
exactly, that's what I'm
But the
trying to
reality
Well, I think it
is
was-
the organization screwed up several grants also.
Yeah, it was
Not
performance.
the director, the organization
say. Yeah, but
itself.
the way I got it, he was kind of in charge of that too.
Well,
Maybe.
Yeah, he was in charge of the whole operation, so.
ultimately, I think it was performance, not personality. I never
Yeah.
really heard that there was a personality problem. I haven't dealt with it.
That nothing was getting accomplished by
Right, there's some things,
we
balls
was
were
not
dropped
getting- We
and,
wasn't getting our money's worth for
right.
what we spent.
Well, I think we need to discuss this with everybody.
Yeah, this needs to be with the city, agreement with them, and I would like to hear what they'd have to say.
See, I thought it was in Justin's hands to set something up for a county city meeting, but
We haven't had one since December.
I know it.
Well, we can call one. Have Pat set it up, or,
Well, when do you want to have it? Do you want to try to have it? They typically meet, I think, 4:30 in the afternoon every other Wednesday or Monday. Is it the second and fourth Monday?
Is this something, maybe the October 2nd Star Bonds meeting, or is that going to be too
I
much?
think it's gonna be too big.
Too much,
yeah.
too much.
There's a fifth Monday in October, which would be a Monday they do not normally meet. Maybe that's a day to do it.
October 30th?
I think it's the 30th, yeah.
I would say they're probably going to want to meet on a regular meeting day. They're all there, they're already there, and we come in at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock,
Yeah,
and we
whatever,
meet.
so.
And when they're there, I'm going to say, but you can find out. You can ask them what's convenient for them. Put the MOCAN on the agenda, or we'd like to have it on the agenda, and I don't know what else.
But, you know, they're coming out of a meeting for an hour or two, and they're
That's
tired.
true. That's true.
You know, so,
We could have it on. We don't really have a good place for it here, but it doesn't have to be on a Monday. It could be on Tuesday at the end of your meeting. It could be at 4:30 or 5:30 or something on a Tuesday.
I think what Jack was saying, that makes for a long meeting for them.
Well, on their day, but on our day, it'd make a long meeting for us.
yeah, because it starts in the morning.
Or you can put it on a different day. So I'd like a little more direction if you want me to set it up on what sort of day you want to set it on.
Well,
Is there any chance of doing it in the morning, or do we have people that work and come in after?
Well, I
their-
think you got a dentist, you got people that can't probably do that.
something that could come up quickly and would probably need to be talked about is this Tyson plant. If there was
That's
actually serious talk about that, this could explode quickly if,
affect the city more than it affect the county, as far as.
well, it affects us all because we're not zoned, and in anything that they can put up, they can put, you know, even if the factory don't come here, if it was located in Tonganoxie, I've been wondering about these broiler houses and things that could be put right on the edge of the city.
That
You know,
question was asked, and quote me if I'm wrong, but didn't Mr. Smith, the county commissioner from Lumber County, said that is considered ag, and you cannot zone some, or you can't put a policy against something for ag?
I would think that a corporate chicken
Well, if the
farm-
business has to do with agriculture. So if a chicken production thing would be ag. A plant
So
would not
that
be
you
ag.
couldn't stop it just
you
because.
you couldn't. Well,
A plant,
That's the
well,
way I took it. How'd you take it?
well, I'm just wondering, even though I know the county commission voted something down, if the state promise this property or have out of this county, can't they overwrite the county? I'm not a lawyer.
I think what the
so-
county voted on, the 500 million in bonds, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it.
Do they have
and
that
I-
kind of bonding capacity?
Evidently they do, because it was 500 million. But then that one lady from Dodge City said somebody brought it up, and Tyson went out in their county and through that bank, and they said, "We love the industry. We'd love to get it out here in our county."
I've heard about as many negatives as positives on that. They said places in Arkansas where the whole city is setting full of semis full of chickens, and there's feathers floating out in the smell, and there's all kinds of problems that are a potential to be.
I lived
Major
in Northwest
disputes.
Arkansas for 10 years, and I never saw that kind of stuff. Now, there was a guy that did economic. He determined how the economy was based upon how many dead chickens were on the road, because if you didn't know when he picked them up, then the economy's pretty good. If they picked them up, the economy was bad.
There's so many stories. My wife's beauty shop, some lady come in there last week and said, "Well, did you hear that they're going to, the offals, that's what they call them, like guts and feathers,
Offal?
were just going to be taken out and dumped on top of ground and next to cricks?" I said, "Diane, you know that can't happen."
Nothing comes out of that plant but finished product.
I know it, but that's how stuff gets started.
That's
There's a big market for chicken feed. There's a big market for the internal organs. I mean,
And I can see Tonganoxie's point. Tonganoxie is growing well without a plant. Would they get some tax dollars? Yes, but they're not in need of anything.
but the state could come up with a financing plan for them. I mean, and the plant's only $300 million. Why would they be passing $500 million in bonds?
They voted 2-1 to decline the $500 million bond. Mr.
Now-
Holland voted for it, and the other two voted against it.
There were several things about that. One was the actual slaughter plant. Then they were going to build a big feed mill, and there was also going to be a big hatchery. So there may have been different sections
the
of that
plant was $350 million or something.
with the slaughter plant.
I assume so.
The way I took it, that's what it was. And that was one of the things that I heard. This is just arguments, pro and con, but it's hard for local like feed mills and stuff. It isn't going to help them because Tyson's going to be producing their own feed for this.
Well,
They're
they
not
can't
going to
grow it.
Huh?
They won't grow it.
The corn, but all the concentrate, the production of it, the milling, all of that. So if I'm a grower out here and I build a grow house for these chickens, I have to buy my chickens from their hatchery, and I have to buy all their concentrate and all the feed that they
They're
prerequisite.
trying to control their
Their
supply chain.
cost. Yeah, I mean, so but the argument was that Jackson farmers or any of these local mills aren't going to be participating in the growth of the chickens.
There's a local farmer that contacted me and says, "Bill, go for it, get it." He said, "I even hauled a trailer load of corn down just to get a trailer load of manure to come back," because he said the fertilizer is very good.
That's a plus. Unless you get
But
too
that's
close
where-
to town and you have the
that's where you
people
also get
that
the smell.
you get the smell, and so without the zoning or the ordinances on that, you're going to have probably seasonal complaints on that.
Well, we're not going to get Microsoft or some
No.
Korean industry to move in here. So
No.
just to me, it ought to get looked at strong. I don't know the negatives. That we'll always look at the positives of this kind of stuff. So
I think you have to look at it equally. I mean,
I think if this progresses and the rumors get more and we hear more, I think it's our duty to go check out
mhm.
yeah,
some facilities and see
Yeah,
the
go see
smell,
them,
and not. It might be a 2-day meeting type of meet with people and meet with the bankers and see what it did to their economy and what's the downfall. Meet with the schools and see what burden it put on the infrastructure of that town.
Okay, well, we're a little off topic there, I think.
Okay.
But I think don't have any.
so we're going to try to get a meeting in October with the city.
He'll have to get with them if something's convenient.
Well,
I think he wants more direction on the
Yeah, do
day.
you wanna do it on a Tuesday, you wanna do it on a Monday, after the
Whatever.
Well,
meeting?
if they want to do it on Monday, that would be fine. I was only thinking that the 30th is a 5-week Monday. So
I'd love
I don't know, how many different, I mean, is this gonna
I'd-
be a long drawn-out meeting? I mean,
I'd love to do it within a week, 10 days,
I think I would like to,
because simple fact, I'm gonna be in Harvest.
yeah. I was just wondering what other subject it would be, if it was gonna be thought it was gonna be maybe a shorter meeting, we could have it on the city's days.
well, they October 2nd, I know for a fact, is booked.
That's the start of the
Okay.
month.
So the 16th would be the other date. So let's shoot for the 16th, Pat, after their meeting. That doesn't hit your 10-day window, Bill, so.
Well, sooner the better, of course. I think we're considered, but,
And this may be all done by then
yeah.
as far as what's
Well,
going
I think
on.
we have several issues to talk to them about.
Do we need to invite Mr. Epley to come? Or is that,
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Since they're still here. Okay, just a second. Yeah.
So, I want to say this correctly. Discussion of this plant may not be as open as it would be after November 7th.
Ah,
Something to think about.
I was thinking
people would be
about
more non-committal at this time?
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking about that.
Hmm. Well, I think between now and then, it'll either be
More.
more or it'll be
Less.
out. I mean, if there's no chance, it'll probably be known by that time that there's no plans. And if it turns out that it is going to be some seriousness to it, or there would be, a real chance that they're considering it, they're going to be forced to talk about it. Because if that would be here, there will be the standing room
Well,
only.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from their point of
Yeah.
view.
I would
So
think
you
that.
want to schedule sometime in November then, after the 7th?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I think that makes good sense.
To wait till in November?
Yeah.
So the 7th is a Tuesday, right? It's not on that calendar, so maybe they would meet on the 6th. Maybe we could shoot for the 20th? Or was it the 19th, whatever date that is?
Well, that's really throwing us late.
The 20th.
That's getting pretty late. Especially with this MOCAN, because when's that due? Is there any time that, or it doesn't pass due probably?
Well, we already decided not to do it, so I'm sure if we aren't in it for a month, we can get back in if it's the right decision.
So let me know what day and I'll be there.
So I need some direction on when you want me to try to get it set up for.
October, November.
I'm sorry.
Well, you asked. Late September?
I'd say 6 in the evening.
I think we hosted last time, didn't we?
Yes, we hosted last
So
time.
it'd be the city to host. See what works for
So is
them.
that-
See what
that's
works for them.
October 16th then?
I doubt if they'll have anything in play by then. Do you know the timeline of when they will be hiring a replacement for Trey, or is that going to be? Will
My
that?
understanding is that they're taking applications till the 15th of October.
Okay, so that wouldn't. Yeah, wouldn't
I
even
was
be
told they wasn't gonna make any decision until the next election.
till after the election.
Yeah, but I think the people on board are gonna make the decision.
I not that it makes any
I just know
difference.
they're
Only I
accepting
just wondered.
applications till the 15th.
I just wondered if how committal that an interim would be on different items. If it's just discussion only, it wouldn't be a problem. But or
Well,
if
right now
they would want.
Becky's the city managers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got to give Pat more of an answer than October, November.
Get with the city, tell them that the county would like to have a meeting either October 6th or October or November, preferably October. What is a convenient day for you?
Okay.
Get back with us.
And I think
We're
if-
pretty flexible.
And if they think of that and want it in November, they'll let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're gonna say, what do you want to talk about? And you could say.
So they have a meeting tonight, so you got to Becky before the meeting, maybe she could
Oh, yeah.
bring it up as a,
I can send her an email now.
it's unusual for them to meet on Tuesday. But,
I thought they had a meeting last night. They didn't?
well, they're meeting tonight because the League of Cities ran meeting.
Now, I had a couple things that I'd written down in the past that we talked about, talking with the city about. One of them was the alley between the school and the courthouse here. Whose jurisdiction was that as far as?
Supposedly, that's our alley, according to Jack, Travis, somebody, Joe Bowen or somebody said that was our property.
I don't know if it's.
Or was that school
Well,
property?
I don't know, you're asking, I haven't researched the issue at
Yeah.
all.
Roger Denton
My-
should be able to tell us in a heartbeat.
My thought
Yeah.
would be that it's part of the laid out plat, but I don't, that's just
Well,
a
it's
guess.
common sense. Who benefits by the alley? The alley's getting in disrepair, needs fixed. Our county employees that park over here use the alley. We're not talking that much money to fix it, but
Yeah. Well, if it's ours, we'll fix it. If it's a school's,
I think the city has a policy not to fix alleys. But I think they would consider cost sharing. But that's a good question to bring up.
well, even if it would be the school, if the school would say, "Hey, we'll pay the material if you guys could, our guys could put it in," I'd go for that.
school's not gonna belly up anything because it doesn't do nothing for them.
They use that, don't they?
Don't have any idea who
When I was here at
But-
7 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of activity over there.
through the
When I was there Friday, around the alley, around that parking lot, people dropping people off at school. And
I think there's quite a bit of.
Yeah.
There are teachers that.
I mean, I'm not usually there at 7 in the morning, but I was there on Friday because we went to that meeting.
Another thing, and I don't know whether this is pertinent or not. At one time, on an ambulance advisory committee, we were talking about the speed limit past the ambulance center, or maybe signage. So I will get back with Corey. I think
I thought that got resolved.
a lot of that's been resolved.
That's
So
states.
yeah, but see that speed limit changes just to the east of there on the westbound lane. Semis are bad about. They're anticipating that 65 mile an hour speed limit, so they're really gunning it through that area. I think it's been patrolled a lot better, and I think a lot of that problem has
Well,
been
yeah,
mitigated.
when they can see the sign, it's 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's a half mile ahead, they see the sign and
Yeah.
they're going. So I'll check with Corey and see if that's still anything that needs to be. And I don't know if the city itself could. They couldn't set it, but they could, if they were in lockstep with us, they could suggest to the city, and if, it wouldn't have to be pushed back very far to the west.
States? We could set the speed limit? I
Well,
look up to me,
that's
that'd be the
outside
state, huh?
city limit. Well,
No, that's in the city limits.
well, on one side of the road it is, on the other side it's, I don't know the answer to, within the city limits, I don't know if KDOT has to approve those or if the city does it, I just don't know.
I just
Well-
remember last time when Justin was here, he had spoken that all they could really do was
Recommendation.
send a
That's
letter.
When we asked Leroy Kane about putting in a turn lane, he went out and looked at it and come back, and he told me, and I don't know if he told the other committee, I think Jeff was, that he didn't see no need for it because there was a lot of visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was kind of their call, what they did out there on that
I
highway.
checked on that when we were considering that facility, and
Yes.
and part of it was there that the volume of traffic in and out of there isn't high enough to justify a turn lane. It's more of, I would love to have like one of those flashing lights, if something there is just, if there would be a sign with that blinking light on it, just something for attract attention
Well,
there. And
hopefully when the ambulance goes out, they got their light on. There is good visibility.
Mhm.
Common sense, if I'm going that way and I seen the blue lights coming out, I'm gonna pull over and stop immediately.
the only problem, it wasn't traffic leaving there, it was
Getting in.
people going in, coming from the east, stopping for oncoming traffic, and the traffic coming from behind is speeding up. So there's been a couple close
I
calls
see what you're
before,
saying.
stops traffic turning into the facility. It's not ambulances leaving, or it's not even
So
going
we're
west.
getting into it.
It's
Okay.
going into it. So that was a possibility.
I
That's
can
the
see-
only
I can see that.
that's the only other thing that I
can
had
see that.
written down.
I've actually heard there's drivers that have had such close calls that they refuse to turn their lights on and turn there. They go up to the elevator, turn around in the parking lot, and come back from the other direction. I have heard that.
I know that
Because there were some very, very close calls that were caught on camera.
Wow. I hadn't heard
matter
that.
matter of fact, there's a lot of them now. I know I've heard the same thing, that they look, if there's nobody coming, they'll turn in. If they see a semi behind them, they will go up to the elevator, turn around, wait, come back from the west. But it's not just us. There's the Hawk Electric, and then there's also that corner that turns south there too. So there's 3 potential turns right in a row.
Yeah, right where you got to go to Pine View or whatever.
hmm
Ottawa Road or?
Well, it's
Ottawa?
the one before Ottawa.
It goes
Yeah.
into Ottawa.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Is that Ottawa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't know
thinking
if it's
of
Ottawa or just goes to Ottawa, but
It
that's-
goes to
that's-
Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay, next thing's executive session.
I feel that we should have one for the discussion of next week with the people coming in. Do you, or? We're gonna have to have an answer next week. We can't say we'll come back next week, we'll have an answer, come back, we'll have an answer.
Basically, it's
I'd rather hear what we hear this week.
on the,
I think probably at least a short attorney-client discussion would be in order. It doesn't have to be long, but there's one other matter that I need to.
Okay, you wanna give us a template, we'll pass it down, in how many minutes? Or you just gonna tell her?
Attorney-client, correct?
Attorney-client?
15?
That's fine.
do you want to make the motion, or you want me to?
Go ahead, I'll second.
Um,
I'll make it after you read.
I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 2:30 for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which will be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B2, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of the executive session at, we say 10 minutes?
15, I think you said.
15 at 2:45 p.m. in the commission room, first floor of the courthouse. Those present will be the 3 commissioners and Pat Henderson, county councilor.
Was that a motion or you entertained?
I said it as I made the motion.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Pass 3-0.
Did you want to bring that Milcan guy over?
Okay, we are back in session.
Did you want to have him come over and talk to us?
I sent him an email on Friday because he was going to talk to the city, I think, on Friday afternoon. He was going to be finished with them. But he accepted my email and emailed me back and said he wanted to get together and talk. And then he does want to come up here and meet with all of you. So I haven't heard from him since then. He's in his first 3 weeks right
And I wouldn't
now.
mind having the city manager here at least.
Okay.
So some of this knowledgeable from the city's point of view.
Yep.
Let me ask a dumb question. If this new person does benefit the city, does benefit the county, I don't feel the county would be out in place asking the city for some of the payment.
What the former arrangement was set up by who? I mean, that we were paying it all. I mean, are we going to start over renegotiating that, or that's?
There was some kind of agreement made. I'm not familiar with it.
The opinion that I got from former Commissioner Mr. Shealy was that the city got tired of what they was getting out of them, so they quit it. And the county, we picked it up because of the grants and I don't know why, but then we just picked it up for 3 years, I believe. Full payment.
When you disbanded the economic development person and the committee, I think it was agreed the city would have an economic development person and that we would pick up the cost of whatever Northwest Northeast Kansas facilitation in all those particular things, which came out to about the same equal amount of money, I think.
I'd like to hear what the new guy from MoCan's got, and that's who you were talking about when we first started back. And I would like to consider Mark and maybe hearing what they have. I don't know if we need to join
Mark
both
has
of
to invite us. You got to make sure that we'll invite you. That's
Or I said Mark, whoever. I mean, if we're kind of out right now, I think it would be the good time to kind of shop around, basically, see maybe who is working for other entities around us, and maybe who's kind of active, and if they're how well they like them. If we would want to try somebody, this would be the time to jump ship with MoCan.
we have no grant program in this county. I mean, maybe they can bring us grants. So we can,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one grant could pay for it for 20 years. Again, I'm not sure what they can bring to the table. Roger would be more knowledgeable of that than anybody.
There are a lot of things that funnel through them to the communities. And so if in fact they have some programs available, which I'm sure they do right now, the question is there anything that can come back into here that would more than pay for the dues that you would be out by doing? Now, the agreement with the city, how that was done, I don't know. And there's probably someone who has better historic knowledge of what happened there. But from my standpoint, I'm not afraid to make a phone call or two to both the city and find out what they heard from the gentleman on Friday of last week. And I'll also speak with him and find out what his position is with it, and we'll try and get him to a meeting, to a workshop, so that he could come in and essentially talk to you about what they have to offer and what they can do. If that pleases the commission.
Mm-hmm.
Pleases me. I'm
Okay.
a third of it.
All right. Another issue that's not the issue that Michelle stopped me about in the hall. She said there was a question about the alley out here, and all I was going to do is give a little background information if it might be helpful. The alley is a public right-of-way, much like the street, but over time in history, alleys don't really exist in newer subdivisions much. They were in older subdivisions because of the way they were developed. Litigation was a lot less prevalent then. They served as a service area. Well, at some point in time, the city realized, and I'm not talking about in the last 20 or 30 years, but they realized that maintaining pavement on both sides of the house is a real problem. And so they tried alley programs, they tried all kinds of programs, and then they realized that in most situations, they just weren't a good idea. In fact, they used to pick up trash in all the alleys to keep it off of the streets, and then they found out that the alleys were too bad. And I can tell you it was that way, you know, in 1970, the alleys were so bad that on rainy days, you spent twice as long picking up trash, and you had twice as many people working because you ran refuse trucks and tow trucks just to get them out of the alleys. And that's, you know, at that point we switched from all alleys to alleys and street, and it was not a popular thing. They have found they just can't afford to pay it all. Now in the past, they have had some alley sharing programs where they would share. If you said, hey, we want to pay half the cost of doing this, and then they would share half the cost of doing it. I don't know what programs are available right now. The reality is, though, they have the ultimate authority over that, much as you would have over any road right-of-way in the county, just like they have authority over the street out front. But unlike the street out front, they tend not to put a lot of money into the alleys in the back, and unless it seems like it's dangerous and likely to be a liability to them, they tend not to do very much. I would be welcome to do this, to take a look at it, see first off what should be done to it, and then also to contact them and see if they have any programs available right now where they would share. Maybe Jack knows.
Well, they did have a program recently, and I don't know how many were used. The problem is you got to get everybody on the street willing to be cost sharing.
Yeah.
You know, with us, it's at least our alley. I mean, our property, so it would only be us involved.
Well, you and the school district.
Us and the school district.
I believe Travis come up here and proposed about building on the Sally Port, and then he looked into it, and he said that, I believe, now don't quote me, but like 3/4 of that alley is on the school property.
I can sure take a look and see what I can find. I would imagine that there was a survey performed when the building was done next door.
But I
Does
do
that
know
mean that they need to be paying more taxes and we need to move that alley over? Kind of.
I'd say that alley's gonna be
I'll
on
put a
there.
fence in the middle.
Let's
Sorry.
get Road and Bridge, get their projects done, and probably not gonna happen this year, but next year, have that be one of the first things to resurface it and fix it up and go on.
But I will tell you, while I was on the city commission, I do know that we had some alleys abandoned. For example, the one next to, what is it, the Guidance Center. That alley along that building was abandoned. So this could have been abandoned too. I mean, I don't know.
You know what, I'll sure take a look. That is something we have on our records downstairs. And so, anytime an alley is vacated or a street is vacated, those come to the county because we then add the adjacent property back into the lots, into the parcels for taxation. So I deal with those. In fact, I can tell you just a week or two ago, the city vacated half of N Street so that someone could build on it. When that happens, it comes to me for the addressing, the parcel data, and then I contact the city and say, I don't show this vacation. And then they send me an ordinance showing the vacation, and then we have it recorded so that it becomes part of the official record. So those things already occur. I'd be happy to check, see what the status is, see what needs to be done to it. It is one of those things that anytime you have an alley like that, often as not, if you just put more pavement over the top, you create a new drainage problem somewhere. And so you always have to take a look at whether it has to go down before it goes up.
Okay, I just had it down that there had been a complaint about the alley and a while back, and
Chug holes. It is.
Yeah.
I went down it. It is.
I haven't been through there,
It's pretty
so
rough down in here.
I need to drive it myself. So
Well, and if that's if it's a pothole issue and it's not bothering the county in their own operations, I just refer people to the city. Because I believe that's actually their responsibility at that point, like any city street.
Mm-hmm.
okay,
But I will, and in fact, I will bring that to their attention.
That's another thing that we need to put on the agenda for our
well, that's
meeting.
why I brought it up. That was on the possible city, if we have a city county meeting. But I kind of want to know where, before we ask them about it, where we stand and whose responsibility and what needs to be done. And
Let me take a look at it, and if it is an issue of patching some potholes and taking care of it, that might be much better done just as a conversation rather than in a public meeting, much as things happen with you.
sounds great.
So I will take a look and I'll come back to you. So,
Okay,
Okay, it looks like it got repaired. You're not swollen anymore.
yeah, I had 22 stitches from
oh,
nose to lip, or 12 stitches from nose to lip, and it's going away now. So.
Okay, good.
Well, I was getting to say, to me, you look like you're 20 years younger, and I was wanting to get a facelift or
Hey,
something
Bill.
here.
Oh, you're starting to lie now.
I was
He's
gonna
coming
ask-
along.
I was going to ask you what the other guy looked like
That nose is
when you
growing.
got done with him. So
Sure feels better now, though.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thanks. Yeah, that sounds great.
And thanks for answering the OCAN questions, even though you weren't prepared.
Again, I'll continue to try and follow through with them, and it doesn't bother me to contact people and tell them.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a firearms resolution, or is that today, or?
Yes. I'll ask you.
Is that something that
Can I give you a resolution number?
Jack needs to be present for, or not, or?
We got his input.
That was my question to Mr. Chairman. I wrote on it, do you want Jack here for this?
So what's the number?
2017-1428.
Is that 148 follow the 17, or is that a separate number? 2000-17 148.
2017-1428.
I don't know if Chuck's available.
Oh,
Or
do
if
we
he
need
needs to be
him
here.
come over? No, I thought you were talking about.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
So you gonna make the motion, Bill, or?
I need
Well,
to
he
get
was
it.
going to read it, wasn't you, first?
Okay.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want me to go, they're printing over it.
Just read it.
Resolution number 2017-1428, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Atchison County, Kansas, prohibiting concealed carry of handguns in Atchison Senior Village and prohibiting the unconcealed carry of firearms in certain county buildings. Whereas the state of Kansas has enacted the Personal and Family Protection Act, K.S.A. 75-7C01, at SEC, hereinafter referred to as the Act, addresses the carrying of concealed handguns and unconcealed firearms by I got a typo there. Addressing the carrying of concealed handguns and unconcealed firearms by a person, including members of the public and governmental employees and governmental buildings. And whereas the Act generally permits persons who are legally permitted to do so to carry a concealed handgun or an unconcealed firearm in governmental buildings whenever such buildings are not exempted and not posted with appropriate signage. And whereas corrections, jail, and law enforcement facilities are not limited under the Act in their ability to prohibit the carrying of a handgun or other firearm, concealed or unconcealed, into any secure area of a building. And whereas the Act allows the county to exempt certain enumerated buildings, including adult care homes as defined in K.S.A. 39-923, and thereby prohibit the carrying of a concealed handgun therein, subject to requirements concerning the posting of appropriate signage. And whereas Atchison County operates Atchison Senior Village, which is a qualified adult care home under the Act. And whereas under the Act, the carrying of unconcealed firearms may be prohibited in any county building. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Atchison County, Kansas as follows. 1, the carrying of concealed handguns shall be and hereby is prohibited in the Atchison Senior Village building located at 1419 North 6th, Atchison, Kansas 66002. 2, the carrying of unconcealed firearms shall be and hereby is prohibited in the following county buildings. A, Atchison County Courthouse, 423 North 5th Street, Atchison, Kansas 66002. B, Atchison Senior Village, 1419 North 6th, Atchison, Kansas 66002. Paragraph 3, each such building shall be conspicuously posted with signs as provided in KSA 75-7C10 and the related regulations promulgated by the Kansas Attorney General. Adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of Atchison County, Kansas as 19th day of September 2017, and then signature lines.
Should we have the road and bridge building facility on there as well or not?
If you want to add it, you could. I don't know if it's been a problem.
If we did, that would pretty well. I guess we have another county lake on there, but then you can't do that if you allow hunting. So
You can't, there's not a building. Well,
That's true.
There's a restroom there, I guess, but
County shop isn't a building either. Really?
and I changed both pages. I had a typo on each page. Well, should I print them again with the corrections, or do you want to discuss it more?
I'm fine with it.
Fine with it.
Do you have any?
The only question I had was the road and bridge facility.
Yeah, Bill's got the number if he wants to make a motion, so.
I'll make the motion, we approve 20-17. Was that 1428 or just 428?
1428.
I make a motion that we approve 20-17, 1428, as described by county councilor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the firearms resolution. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Did you have nothing in this folder?
I've already done everything on that.
Okay.
What,
You
we
gotta
got
sign
three
it.
copies or?
I printed 4.
Oh, there's no signature there.
Oh, okay, they're already, all right. I was thinking that there was, all right, there are 4 copies. Now I understand. Go ahead and sign that one.
Should I just give them to Michelle?
We all
After
gotta
we all have
Okay,
to sign them.
yes. No, we haven't signed this.
These two go to Jack.
Okay, there's 2 different ones there.
This one's done.
I'm
This one
done.
here.
These two are done.
Pardon me while I get this. It might be business related.
Go ahead.
I just got a response from Becky Berger, and she says they're too busy on the 12th, or the 2nd, I mean, and the mayor is gone at the 16th for that meeting, and they would prefer to set one out sometime later. And it also says if you want to meet certain months sooner, she could propose it to the commission tonight, but she doesn't know how
Did she
excited they would be.
mention the 30th?
No,
I mean, it's a fifth Friday. I mean,
no, I can write back about that. Well, she did mention the possibility of moving it past November 6th. So.
uh-huh.
Okay, do we have
I'm sure we'll
anything?
discuss it tonight. She can get back to us.
Okay, is there any other business that we need to attend to? What is that? Oh, that's just what I was getting.
Who is that from?
Larry Myers. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn at 3:10?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Passed 3-0.